Today we're going to make a patriotic wreath, one that represents the USA. Of course it does look like the 4th of July, but in light of the elections and all the debates coming up, we thought we'd go ahead and do this American theme, and you can hang it for the election or keep it for the 4th of July. Okay, so we've picked up a vine wreath and we're going to use some white mesh. I decided to go with some flat white because we have so much glitter going on. I don't know that we really need iridescent mesh as well, but that is an option. It's strictly up to you. So what we've done here is we've just secured these silver stems that I picked up. I just kind of thought they looked something like fireworks, but I've secured that with wire, and we're going to fill this up with great ribbon and a couple of props that we have. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pulled out about 2 yards of this mesh. You can really just eyeball it, but about 2 yards because we're going to make it nice and full. We're going to go ahead and cut that, and we will attach that to the vine wreath. Okay, so I've gone ahead and wired down the mesh. Simply just kind of bunched it up and placed it where we wanted. Wired it down with some floral wire. I think that looks pretty good. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this with ribbon and props. We picked up a red ornament. We wanted some polka dots. We thought maybe the red, white polka dot with the blue would look pretty, since some of our ribbon has polka dots in it. But we couldn't find the polka dot that we liked, so all we did was just double a little paint and glitter, and we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and put these onto our wreath along with our little signs, and then we'll fill it with ribbon. Okay, before we put the ornaments and the props onto our wreath, I've decided to go ahead and make some of our flares and some of our little loops to make it easier when we create the wreath. If everything is pre-done, then we can place it onto the wreath and decide if we need more or not. It's always better to be prepared in advance. Okay, so to make these flares, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a couple of strips of ribbon. We're going to pinch them together in the center. And they don't all have to have wire. You can have wire or not, but when it's combined, one that doesn't have wires combined with one that does, it tends to pop up and work just as well. So cut a piece of wire. We're going to go ahead and twist that in the center. And we're going to create these great little flares here. So once you've done that, we're going to make several of these, and those will tuck into our wreath. But we're going ahead and do them ahead of time. Makes it much easier. Okay, we've pre-made our flares, and they're ready to go into the wreath. We're also going to make a little bow that's just a couple of loops, just to have a variety. So you're going to pinch and make a loop. Loop. Go ahead and do that with each of those. Lots of loops. Try to get them pretty even there. Loops. You just eyeball it and kind of see the way you want it to look, how you want it to fill in. Just love all this red, white, and blue ribbon. So, how about that? That looks good. Take your wire, wrap it around all the loops, and twist it together. And we've made another type of bow to insert inside of the wreath. So here we go. I'll make one more of these, and we'll start inserting into the wreath. Okay, so we have a lot of red, white, and blue going on. So we are putting 2 flares together, and we are going to pop them onto our wreath. The best way to do this is just to fill in the wreath and decide after if something needs to be added or something needs to be moved. There's no set pattern for how to attach it or where to attach it. You really just need to work with the props you have and eyeball it and decide if it looks right. Okay, on this loop one, I think we're going to go ahead and put this one at the top here. Let those tails hang out just to give it more of, say, a firecracker look, maybe just sticking out. The more color you see once we hold it up, the better. I'm going to twist two more of these flares together, and again, we're just going to go ahead and fill in that wreath. The more color, the better. Okay, so we have secured our signs. We've hot glued the bulbs. We have wired and hot glued the sign down. We've put our flares. Now, all we have left to do is trim up our ribbon. We don't want to leave it just square. So we want to always cut the ribbon at an angle. And so we have quite a bit to do here. So you're just going to go and make sure you clip it at an angle. Again, at an angle, and we're going to go ahead and trim up all of our ribbon that way. Okay, now what I'm going to do, after I've trimmed up all my ribbon here, oops, I think I missed one here, I'm going to use what's left of the mesh. I had a little bit left, so I went ahead and cut these small little swatches, and typically when you get to the end, it'll roll up like this itself, but if it doesn't, you just make a couple of little curls. So I made a few of these, and what I'm going to do is put them together, and like I said, it's just a little piece rolled up, and I'll make just a big fire-looking bundle ribbon, and we're going to put that at the top, making that look like maybe some fireworks popping out of the top there. So let me get a piece of wire and I'll secure that. Okay, so sometimes in order to place an item, a bow, or something properly, it's hard to do when it's laying flat. So if you can, stand your wreath up, and in this case, we're going to go ahead and prop it right over here. And you really work better if it's sticking straight up like this, so that you can see where you need to put something extra or whatnot. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and place this at the top here, creating those flares. Okay, so we have this great ribbon. It's just a glittered plastic, and we just inserted a few pieces into our wreath. And sometimes, if you're as picky as I am, you might want to just hot glue it in little spots to make sure it stays where you want. You can secure it with wire. I really just slip it in between the vine. But right here, that's the same thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and maybe twist it a little bit, bring it down, I'll clip it, and then hot glue a piece right here. Okay, so I'm just going to clip a piece, grab my hot glue gun, and maybe just dabble a little hot glue right there to make sure that stays in place like that. Just kind of giving it a little confetti look. Brings a lot of fun dimension to the wreath. I think I'll just tuck that one in there just like that. There's really nothing to it. And you can find other little spots if you want to hot glue and secure. Hold it and make sure it stays in place. And there you go. I think it gives a lot of dimension to your wreath. Just makes it look like confetti. Lots of patriotic fun. Okay, so we've gone ahead and attached our little plastic glitter. And I decided instead of just having the center naked, I just made a couple of tails. I just pinched it in the middle, just grabbed it kind of like I did the flares, and I just attached it to the back, just to try it out. You know, it's not going to hurt. Give it a try, see if you like it. If it doesn't work, then you can just remove that one little piece. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and trim up this ribbon. I like the way these kind of flow, but this could be a little too long, so just trim it at an angle and see what happens. It's a little trial and error. We had a little ribbon left over, so we're going to trim that up. Trim at an angle there. See what happens. So, like that. The way those fall. Again, you just kind of play with it, kind of get a feel for if you like that. And I think that looks a lot of fun. And here we go, our patriotic ribbon. Elections are around the corner. Get out and vote.